Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Alisha and today I'm going to be talking about #murder trending by Gretchen McNeil. As always with my reviews, I will go ahead and read the synopsis from the inside jacket and then we will get started with my thoughts. Ready? The synopsis says, welcome to the near future, where good and honest citizens can enjoy watching the executions of society's most infamous convicted felons, streaming live on the Postman app from the suburbanized prison island Alcatraz 2.0. When 17-year-old Dee Guerrera wakes up in a haze, lying on the ground of a dimly lit warehouse, she realizes she's about to be the next victim of the app. Knowing hardened criminals are getting a taste of their own medicine in this place is one thing, but Dee refuses to roll over and die for a heinous crime she didn't commit. Can Dee and her newly formed posse, the Death Row Breakfast Club, prove she's innocent before she ends up wrongfully murdered for the world to see? Or will the Postman's cast of executioners kill them off one by one? So let's talk about #murder trending by Gretchen McNeil. Interesting enough with this cover, it's very fun, and even the end pages on the inside are very fun. Now this one I didn't expect to be a mixed media, but it was, and it was kind of interesting in a way that they did it. I've seen some mixed media where they'll have the story, but they'll also have like emails attached into the series or the book, and then they will also do like text messages or dialogue that goes back and forth to make it look like a text message or anything like this. And this one actually has a couple of pages throughout the book where it kind of looks like you're on a chatting forum or a forum for the app. And let me show you, this is what I mean. So like it just looks like you're on a forum on the computer, but then you can also see over here that this is the story. So I thought that that was interesting to begin with. Now in the synopsis you heard that this was about the main character Dee Guerrera, who is wrongfully accused of a murder and sent to Alcatraz 2.0. where if their cases are not appealed, they will eventually bite the dust by the hands of one of the, I think they were eventually dubbed the Panamaniacs, or Paniacs, or I don't remember what they were called, but it was an interesting name because it was basically, they had the executioners and they were in different styles. They each had their own like MO. Let me see if I can find some of the names. So Dee Guerrera, when she was dropped off into the warehouse, she faces one of the Paniacs, whatever, the people who do the executions. They have their own style of doing it, and so when Dee shows up in the warehouse, she is dressed as Cinderella, like the princess, Disney princess Cinderella. And the person who is there to, like, I guess, execute her, his name is Prince Slicer, but he's dressed up as Prince Charming. And so it has a whole play on that aspect, like Cinderella and Prince Charming, except he slices, so he's Prince Slicer. There are other ones where it's Gucci Hangman. He has a lot of Gucci outfits and Gucci merchandise, but he always hangs his victims using a Gucci scarf. Another one that I remember was called Molly Muller, and she executed her victims by mauling them with some sort of animal. I believe there was a scene in here towards the end where she executed someone by having them being eaten by a very large python. So each one, and I think there were a couple of others, there was the There was, what were some of the other ones? There was like DIY Nona, and there was one for, I think he was like something barista. He was a barista. Well, let me see. I don't know what there was a couple of different ones, but those were the main ones that I remember. Was Prince Slicer, because she was dressed as Cinderella, and even afterwards, once she survived and she was put on Alcatraz 2.0, all of her outfits were princess themed. And so, but Alcatraz 2.0 is kind of like Alcatraz on an island, but it has cameras everywhere. And so people can watch your feeds, your personal feeds, or the island feed to watch. And they always know when there's going to be an execution, but you don't know who it's going to be and who the Paniac is going to be for that one. But basically, Dee goes through this trying to figure out how to either escape the island or prove her innocence through using Alcatraz and whatnot. This was an interesting concept, and I liked reading this one. I will say I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. There wasn't anything to give it that extra 5-star, but it was definitely a good read. I liked that Gretchen basically took like Alcatraz and then turned it into kind of like a reality TV show type thing, but with the prison system. And even though it seemed like there were prisoners and criminals and stuff like that, Dee and a couple of others were put there purely for the reality TV aspect. But in the end, we find out certain information, and I won't give it away because you have to read it for yourself. But there's certain information that comes about, and it's centered around Dee and why she's there and how she got there and that type of thing. And so this one was really good, and at first I thought that this was just a standalone, but then I realized that it is actually a trilogy. I've read the first book, which is this one, and then book 2 is #MurderFunding, which I will discuss in a different video. But I liked the writing style of this one. I've always been a big fan of Gretchen McNeil's works ever since her first book called Possess. And I will try to put a picture of the title here because I cannot find my copy. So somewhere here I will post a picture of that book. But I've always liked her work, and this one is no exception. Like, the time and probably research and, I don't want to say imagination, but to a certain extent imagination for this book, it's just, it's downright impressive. Like, I love Gretchen McNeil's books, and if I could be half the writer that she is, I would be happy, because some of the stuff that she comes up with is just amazing. I love it. This one in particular, like I said, it's basically a reincarnated version of Alcatraz with the prison system, but they've also made it so that, like, the way that they have it set up is you live on the island, even though it's a prison system. They've have it set up so that you have a key and a card on a keychain. You keep that with you at all times. The key gives you the key to a place where you can, like, sleep and live and stuff like that. But the card is kind of like a swipe card. It's like a time card. You swipe it, you work on the island during the day. So Dee actually works at an ice cream shop called Ice Cream. So it's a good play on words, but she works there, and whatever she works, that's how much money is put on her card, so that she could then go to the bodega and get food for the day. and then she does it all over again. But in the meantime, she also has to worry about whether or not she's going to be next in terms of being, you know, picked off by one of the Paniacs, whether it's DIY Nona or Molly Muller, or we all know that Prince Slicer in the beginning, as I said, she defeated him, so she's not going to go up against him again, but who's to say that none of the other Paniacs are going to come after her, right? So, but this was a really good read. Like I said, 4 out of 5 stars, and I will talk about book 2 in a different video. That is #murderfunding, and if this sounds good, I highly suggest that you guys read it for yourself. I will have links on where you can find it down below. Well, that's all for me in this video, guys. If you liked this video, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.